Becoming a counselor, a psychologist, a therapist, a mental health professional in Kenya is a very straightforward procedure. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how I became a counselor. And in my story, maybe you will find something that is useful, that will help you in determining whether this is a career path for you. And it will also help you understand what exactly goes into becoming a counselor so that you can be prepared in advance before you start your journey. So, from the very beginning, first of all, I got an undergraduate degree in counseling psychology. I wanted specifically to do counseling psychology because it felt right for me. After doing thorough research about the courses that were available and the school that I wanted to go to and how much money I had to pay for that school, I knew that settling for counseling psychology was the right decision for me. So the first process, of course, is for you to find out what exactly you want to study. There are different types of psychology that you can study in Kenya. Different schools offer different courses, and you have to decide which one is the best for you. And that determining that what is best for you, of course, it depends on what career you want to take up. I knew that I wanted to work with individuals one-on-one, and that's why I knew counseling psychology was the right field for me. The second thing that you need to know is that during your study, they are going to expect you to go for an attachment. In counseling, we call it practicum. So I went for my practicum at Mathari National Teaching and Referral Hospital, and I did my practicum there for about 3 months. And the thing that they don't tell you about practicum is that some practicum sites are going to require you to pay for being there, and some of them are going to allow you to come and practice for free. And so, for example, when I was at Mathari, I was paying Mathari 7,000 a month for my practicum. Again, practicum is also internship, it's also attachment, whatever you like to call it, but in counseling and in psychology in general, we call it practicum. There was no requirement that I should go to Mathari. So your school will not necessarily tell you where to go. It will only, most of the schools will require you to just find a practicum site that has the things that are required for your program. So for example, most programs will require that whatever site you go to has a site supervisor who has at least a master's degree, because you are doing your undergraduate. After my practicum, I graduated, of course. Some schools will require you to go for your own personal therapy. It is not a mandatory requirement from every school that the students go for personal therapy, but my own very strong belief is that every aspiring counselor should go for their own personal therapy. After your personal therapy, a therapist that you go to will give you a therapy letter. In that therapy letter, some schools will, if your school requirement is that you should go for personal therapy, your school will expect you to show that letter at the end of your therapy. After my undergraduate and after my practicum and after my personal therapy and after my graduation, I chose to go ahead and get a master's in counseling psychology. Again, there are different things that you can master in. You don't have to master in counseling psychology. I applied and I was accepted and I started my master's. My master's took exactly 2 years, but some people spend a bit longer in their master's programs for various reasons. And if you have not checked out my video on what some of the things I wish I knew before I started my master's, you should check it out. I was able to graduate in those 2 years. After graduation, before graduation, let me backtrack. I went again for another practicum. So your school will tell you how many hours you're required to go for practicum for you to be approved. So I think in my undergraduate, I think I went for 300 hours because it's a requirement. You have to go for those hours. No, they won't allow you to graduate before you've completed your practicum hours. So once you've hit your hours, you've done your logbook and everything, you've submitted all the documents that are required from you to the school, they will allow you to graduate. So I went for both. I went for my master's practicum at a different organization. I went to an NGO. I did my practicum there, finished my practicum, got my practicum documents signed by my site supervisor, and then after that, I went back to school. I submitted all my reports, and after submitting all my reports and finishing my project and submitting my project, I graduated. After graduation, I went ahead and applied to be registered with a counseling body. There are several counseling bodies in Kenya, and one of them, the one that I registered with, is KCPA, Kenya's Counseling and Psychological Association. Their office is at Ajip House. Yes, it's Ajip House. Yes, Ajip House. The office is at Ajip House. I went there and registered. Registration fee was 4,500 if I'm not wrong, and they require you to have a therapy letter. If you don't have a therapy letter, they cannot accept you. Therapy letter is supposed to be not older than, I think, 2 years. And I was registered. I am an accredited counselor of KCPA, and you have to have the money in your M-Pesa. Unless something has changed, that is still the process. The reason I registered is because you have to be registered for you to practice as a counselor. I have had people who practice as counselors in Kenya without registering with any counseling body. I don't know if that is legal, and I don't think that is advisable. I would not advise anybody to practice without being registered as a counselor with a counseling body. As I said, there are several of them. Go find the one that specifically caters to you. And for me, the reason I went to KCPA is because, first of all, it's in the name. It's KCPA, Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association. I'm a counselor. I'm a counseling psychologist. It makes sense for me to go there. And beyond that, almost every single counselor that I know is also registered with KCPA. So it only made sense for me to go to the body that has registered most of the counselors who are like me, so that at least I know I am registering with my kind of people. So I registered and I became an accredited counselor with KCPA. That is basically the procedure of becoming a counseling psychologist in Kenya. So you will find that some people will start with diplomas, some people will start with certificates, some people will start at bachelor's degree. As you all know, getting accepted in university, you have to have a C+ in KCSE and do your bachelor's, and then from there you can do your master's. The other thing that I know for sure is that it's not a requirement in Kenya for you to have a master's degree for you to practice. I have met people who practice with their diplomas. I have met people who practice with their bachelors. So there's no requirement that you, like in other countries where they say that you have to have a master's degree for you to practice as a counselor, as a therapist, as a psychologist. In Kenya, that is not yet a requirement as per my knowledge as of now. Unless something has changed or something is changing or something will change in the future, that is information that I have. So please confirm this as you go along. Other than that, I don't think there's any other big major thing that you need to know about becoming a counselor in Kenya. It's a rewarding job. The day-to-days are very different for different counselors, depends on what kind of counseling that you do. You can work in very many diverse fields. You can work as a school counselor, you can work as a church counselor, you can work as a workplace counselor, you can work as an addictions counselor, you can work with the court system, you can work anywhere where there are people, you can work there because you have a counseling degree. And mental health is universal, right? So it's a very versatile degree. You can work, there's some people who are even actually working in HR, especially people who have studied organizational psychology. And so it's a very versatile degree. It's a good degree, in my opinion, that you can get very easily in Kenya. It is not the most expensive degree, so it's not like a medicine degree where you take 6 years in school, and the requirements are not that rigid. They're not that strict. So if you are curious about getting this degree, if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer about getting a degree in counseling psychology that I have not already answered in this video, kindly send them to me. You can write them in the comment section, or you can email me at safespacearena@gmail.com. I will definitely respond. And if you know anybody who wants to get a degree in counseling psychology or any kind of psychology in general, it's very straightforward. Again, as I said, here in Kenya, they don't have that many strict rules. So this is a good time to go ahead and get your degree. And I wish you all the best in your academic journey. And yeah, take care of yourselves and God bless you all.